Welcome to Go Play Esports Podcast with Christopher Turner, Go Play founder and CEO, esports coach at the Southern University Lab, and gamer. Discussions on the emergence of esports at the K-12, collegiate, and professional level. Let's go! Let's go play!
Hi, this is your host, Christopher Turner. Once again, this is another episode of Go Play Esports Podcast. By the intro, by now, you should already know what we do, what we discuss. So let's just go right to it. In esports news today, Team Liquid chooses Secret Lab as gaming chair partner. Gaming chair manufacturer Secret Lab has announced a partnership with multinational organization Team Liquid. They've teamed up to release a Secret Lab Team Liquid Edition gaming chair, an original product featuring Team Liquid branding and colors. This is another great move for esports. Two companies joining together to make a great product. If you don't know who Team Liquid is, they have multiple esports teams. League of Legends, Counter-Strike, they had the two Super Smash Brothers. The list goes on and on and on of what Team Liquid has accomplished. Everybody should know Secret Lab. That's a great gaming chair developer and manufacturer. So for these two entities to partner up is going to be amazing. I can't wait to see the sales and numbers from this product. Let's drop a bomb for them. So, you know, every episode we have a special guest, a special interview. For me today, it's a blessing to have this particular person on. He's responsible for the games that I've played in my late teens, early 20s. I was born in 84, so I'm 35. He's probably laughing to himself, but he's been an impact on the gaming community. His resume is impeccable. You know, just going into depth, I struggle with this, you know, how to introduce him, but we're just going to run down some things and we're going to get into some in-depth conversation with him in this podcast. But he's a legendary video game producer. He created interactive entertainment. He was born and educated in London, England. He started his game career at BMG Interactive before moving to New York in 1997 and joining Take-Two Interactive. His tenure at Take-Two, he was a co-founder of Rockstar Games. He held the title of VP of Development for Rockstar, Director of Development for Take-Two between 1997 and 2006. He did design, production, and publishing for 80-plus games. Let's go down the list of these titles, people. Grand Theft Auto, Max Payne, Midnight Club, Warriors of Red Dead. And as the co-founder, he was awarded a group Lifetime Achievement in video games. He's now serving as the Chief Marketer Pro Award and Head of Esports for Engine Shop. Without any further ado, welcome Jamie King to the show. Welcome to the show, Jamie.
Hey, Christopher. It's a pleasure to be on your show.
Man, thanks. Thank you for joining us, man. Could you please go into more depth about who you are and how you got to this point in your career? I know I went through the gauntlet just for a second.
You did. Yeah, so I grew up in London, England. You might tell from my accent. I went to college and didn't know what I was really going to do. And I came out and I got into the film industry. And the first company I started and raised money for was a music video company. And I had like 12 directors. We made a lot of music videos. And through that company, I made a great connection with this very cool woman called Nijko. who was, I think, at MCA Records. And she said, "Oh, you got to meet this kid called Sam. You got to meet this kid called Sam. He's making this great games." And she had said to Sam, like, "You got to meet this kid Jamie. He's a great producer. Like, you got to connect." And I remember walking into BMG Interactive and meeting this kid called Sam Hauser, and he's talking about this game he's making. It's a car driving game. He's really excited. And I had a laptop, and I was Toshiba at the time, and I had 2 PC games on it. I had Descent, and I tried to buy like Highway 76, and it just wouldn't run. Just wouldn't run on my computer. And I was like, "Oh, what, like Highway 76 or Interstate 76 or whatever that car game was?" He's like, "No, it's called Grand Theft Auto." And I sat down and I played like an early version, and I was running over like the Hare Krishnas, like a Gallagher bonus round, and I was like, "Oh wow!" And I was like, "I can get a job, like making video games like this." And he was like, "Yeah." And we got on straight away. We were very aligned in our thinking, and I had never seen anything like it. And so I joined BMG Interactive, and I was really fortunate enough to work on the marketing campaign on Grand Theft Auto 1. And I was sitting in a room, and there was Dan Hauser eating his dates, and there was like Lucian King. And we worked on 3 Lions, the official England football game. We did like a big launch party for it, and then it's sort of the same time. So then I got offered a full-time job there. I went in like freelance, and they liked me, and so I got to a full-time job. And then a couple of months later, Sam was like, "Look, we're selling to. I think we're going to get bought by this company called Take Two, and I got to go to New York, and will you come with me?" And I was like, "Yeah, just take my hand." And he's like, "Right, I want to do a skateboarding game. Go get me Thrasher magazine, and go get me the Warriors." And I was like, "Right." So on the Warriors, I went through my family friends in America who are like connected in the film business. I went to the director Walter Hill. I wrote to him. Then I went to Paramount, and someone threw it was back in the days we had letters. I had like letterhead, Rockstar letterhead. And I went, "Oh, we want to make Warriors into a video game." And the woman's licensing person threw it in the trash. And someone else saw the letterhead and pulled it out of the trash and was like, "Are you kidding me? These guys want to make the Warriors?" And the licensing person was like, "What's the Warriors?" So it was like an amazing story. And that woman who pulled it out of the trash, Christina, ended up running E-League. Weirdly enough, like our worlds totally sort of came full circle. And I've grown up, Sam and I like grew up in sort of just ingesting American culture, and our fathers had, both rushed out and bought a Betamax machine. Right then there was a war between Betamax and VHS. And we were 12, 13 and watching movies like The Exorcist and The Warriors, and just fell in love with The Warriors. And with Thrasher magazine, they'd never licensed it to anyone. The only person who had their license, I think, was Turner, who took it, right? Just called the Atlanta Thrashers, his hockey team. Right. And there I am. I'm on I think it was 3rd Street in San Fran. And I'm sitting there with Jake Phelps, the editor of Thrasher, and Ed Riggins, the publisher. They're gnarly, they're like no fools. And just found a way to have a good connection with them. And we were like, "Look, we want to make like a real skateboarding game." And the next minute I'm in San Mateo with Z-Axis, and Sam's like, "Go make the game." I was like, "Okay." And then obviously worked on, and that's then there we are, we're in New York, we're on 575 Broadway, and there was a very small group of us, and we made Grand Theft Auto London, we made Grand Theft Auto 2. And 2 was really interesting because we were really trying to play around with the gang dynamics, right? Depending on where you went and how you behaved in the game would dictate how people treated you. San Andreas was my favorite, I think, out of it.
That was
the role-playing elements and the size. Mm-hmm. It was enormous. And I think we had so much fun connecting with all the subcultures, right, around that time period. I mean, again, we grew up in England. We loved all the culture that came from America. We was 16 years old, right, or 15 years old, and I was buying, Public Enemy and Tim Dog and Tribe Called Quest and JVC Force and all the early hip hop, and we were just sort of lapping it up. So I think, and again, big consumers of American movies, Menace to Society and Boys in the Hood. And so I think, it was fantastic to get to work on that. And that's also when I got to meet Esteban Oyo, right, and Mr. Cartoon. And they had an agency called SA Studios. And I met them back when we were doing San Andreas, and I'd bring them up because I then reconnected with them around 2011. And then in 2013, we did some cool merchandise for Riot Games and for League of Legends and their collegiate viewing parties, and we teamed them up with like Starter and Undefeated and some cool lifestyle brands. And I just made it my game, and I ranked in League, and I was like, oh, this whole esport thing, it just really connected with me, from the live events, the live production, the whole sort of, it coming from the audience, right? It wasn't the big companies really that put it together. It wasn't the brands. They were doing it anyway, and it was so raw. And I sort of fell in love again, right, with gaming. Anyway, and at Rockstar, there we were. We worked on the Grand Theft Autos. Same time, how lucky, Take-Two had done a deal with gathering the developers. And again, I got to go down there. I'm like this little kid from England, and I'm in Texas, and I'm surrounded by the guys that are id and 3D Realms and hardcore PC developers who hate publishers. And at that time, they all felt like publishers were idiots. They didn't know what they were doing. They think cereal box marketing. And I'm sitting there oh, hello, I'm Jamie, But it was great. And, loved working on Max Payne, loved working with 3D Realms and Remedy. I got to go to Finland, getting, Max Payne 2 and then getting Max Payne to run on the console. Learned, so much. And then, over my years at Rockstar, we went over to Vancouver. We got really into Counter-Strike when it first came out. We were playing that a lot in the office, and it was like, how do we do a military version, Grand Theft Auto? We want a military game. And we met Barking Dog in Vancouver, who we acquired, and they became Rockstar Vancouver, and they ultimately did Bully. We've done a lot of work with the studio that is now Rockstar Toronto. They did really good ports for us, and we ended up laddering that up into doing the Warriors with them. I got to play around, the N64, the GameCube, the Dreamcast, right, first Xbox. We had 4x4 Evolution. I helped Terminal Reality put that out on Xbox. And, and I was really lucky, got taken around the country. We then, we were obsessed with that driving game, Midtown Madness, which led us to meet Angel Studios. They were working on the first Red Dead Revolver, and it was owned by Capcom. They've been working on it for 4 years, and when we purchased Angel and turned it into Rockstar San Diego, we got to keep the assets that was Red Dead Revolver, and it was all in pieces and beautiful assets, beautiful, and loved the team in San Diego. And Sam was like, look, you've got 9 months, get it out. And and that was an amazing experience for me. Some of the cats from New York, who I think still there, like Oswald Green, we just camped out in San Diego, worked with the designers, and it was an amazing deep dive in game design, right? And putting all these pieces together, getting the coherent story around it. It was interesting how people, after GTA 3 came out, everyone wanted the open world sandbox, right? And we couldn't get that architecture into Red Dead Revolver, and so that's when there was after it Red Dead Redemption, right, was then a complete reboot on and around the Grand Theft Auto engine and
the open world.
Look at and what an amazing title that franchise that's become. And because of that, when I left Rockstar, the last game that I produced was Rockstar Presents Table Tennis. And I learned